Hello, Areski Dode here from MEA Risk LLC and the North Africa Journal. And hello. Here is a quick roundup of what we've been covering this week, ending the 31st of May, 2025, across North and West Africa and the Sahel. Stories that might not make the global headlines, but stories that tell us a lot about how the region is evolving. Stories that you can find on our website at north-africa.com. So let's start with the Sahel, where Russia is making some quiet but significant changes in Mali, for example. The Wagner Group, long a controversial presence, is currently being replaced by a new formation called the Africa Corps. The new outfit, tied directly to the Russian Ministry of Defense, is essentially meant to look more structured and official. And like Wagner, they're not expected to be on the front lines, but from what we are gathering, they're focused on training, logistics, and intelligence support. It is a shift in appearance, but not necessarily in intent, right? I mean, Russia's strategic goals in the region appear to probably remain steady. Meanwhile, Libya is stuck in a cycle of political paralysis. A recent attempt by the Eastern-based parliament to form a new government clearly didn't gain much traction, and highlighting just how fragmented things remain between Tripoli in the northwest of the country and Benghazi in the northeast of the country, and that's an important divide. While the West, that is Tripoli, is dealing with the internal tensions and leadership issues, General Haftar is making moves in the east, holding a large-scale military parade and also receiving more international attention. Ironically, countries like Italy and Turkey, once firmly aligned with his rivals in Tripoli, are now taking a position where basically they're siding with both parts, both conflicting and rival groups. But in Libya, it's not just about politics. Libya's economy is facing challenges tied to illicit activity. There's been a major gold smuggling operation recently exposed in Misrata, and ongoing concerns about counterfeit currency, some reported links to groups with ties to Wagner. That's to show how strong Wagner is in Libya. There aren't new issues per se, but they're becoming more visible and harder to ignore. Over in Mauritania, in the northwest of the continent, the EU has increased its financial support to essentially curb migration towards the Canary Islands in Spain. This year alone, it's worth noting that Mauritanian authorities have intercepted over 30,000 migrants. But the deal isn't without controversy. Human rights groups, regional neighbors, and others have raised concerns about how some of these crackdowns are being carried out, including deportations and harsh conditions in transit areas. And Mauritania is now clearly walking a delicate line, essentially responding to European priorities while facing growing scrutiny from within the region. Next, let's turn to Guinea in West Africa, where the military-led government recently revoked more than 100 mining licenses. That the goal, according to officials, is to bring more accountability to the sector and remove companies that they feel haven't been active or compliant. Now, Guinea, as you may know, is home to the world's largest bauxite reserves, but there's widespread frustration that the benefits haven't reached most citizens. And while the move might open the door to more serious investments, the lack of clarity around how new licenses will be allocated have raised some serious concerns. Now, staying in West Africa, in Senegal specifically, fuel prices have hit record highs in the region, even though the country, as you know, produces about 16 million barrels of oil, that is in 2024. Now, the frustration is real, especially among transportation workers, and much of it comes down to high taxes. Officials say domestic refining and gas use will help bring prices down, but so far, that promise hasn't really translated into visible change at the pump. In Egypt, the energy sector is also under real pressure. Domestic gas production has dropped sharply, and that's forcing the country to ramp up LNG imports and, in some cases, turn back to more polluting fuel oil. This comes at a high cost, both financially and environmentally. At the same time, international energy companies have been sort of pulling back on some projects, citing delays and as well as certain returns. Now, with summer heat approaching and power demand likely to spike, the government is trying to prevent another season of blackouts like it happened last year. The situation is challenging, but there are efforts underway to strike a balance between emergency needs on the one hand and the long-term reforms that the country needs to enact. And finally, more immediate issue are the wildfires and the wildfire season that has started in northern Morocco, specifically with a fast-moving blaze recorded this week near Tangier. That's burned dozens of hectares of forests. Strong winds and dry conditions have made it hard to contain the fire, and while no evacuations have been ordered yet, nearby communities are on edge, and this could be a sign of an early and difficult fire season ahead, not just in Morocco, but across the entire North Africa region, and certainly in Southern Europe, that is the northern part of the Mediterranean. So looking ahead, we're not seeing collapse or chaos across the board, but there is clearly a lot in motion. Countries are rethinking old contracts, balancing external partnerships with internal expectations, and trying to manage both political and economic pressures. With the exception of the Sahel region, where things are going really badly, in many places, perhaps most places, governments are instead recalibrating, not necessarily destabilizing, but they're also testing how far they can go with new approaches. Most of these approaches probably are very unpopular as well. Across North Africa and the Sahel and the West Africa region, we'll be watching how such things as energy decisions shape public confidence, how migration deals hold up under scrutiny, as we're seeing with Mauritania, and whether shifts in regional power dynamics, think of Russia's changing role or Haftar's growing reach, translate into long-term change. Clients can access the detailed reports on north-africa.com. If these updates help you stay informed, consider subscribing to our publication or following us here for regular insights. And until next time, see you soon again.